Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle something that, let's be honest, every single one of us struggles with: motivation. We're going to completely tear down this idea that you have to wait for inspiration to strike. Instead, we're going to build a system that actually gets you moving, especially on those days you really don't feel like it. So, let's dive in.
Sound familiar? Of course it does. We've all been there. You've got that big goal, that project you need to finish, or maybe just a simple chore, and you tell yourself, oh, I'll get to it when I feel motivated. But then days turn into weeks, and that magical feeling, it's just not showing up. It's a super frustrating cycle, and it turns out we've been looking at the whole thing completely backwards.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the mental shift we need to make. See, motivation isn't some random event that just happens to us. It's an active process. It's a campfire that we have to build and tend to. You don't find motivation, you have to create it. Okay, so let's start by just blowing up the single biggest myth about motivation. The one that keeps most of us stuck on the couch, waiting for an inspiration that, frankly, is never going to come.
This right here is the classic trap. We believe deep down that the feeling has to come before the action. We imagine that one day we'll just wake up buzzing with energy and drive, and then we'll finally write that novel, or start that business, or hit the gym. But as we all know too well, that day rarely just arrives on its own.
So, if waiting around is the myth, what's the secret? Well, it's actually beautiful in its simplicity, and it is a complete reversal of everything we've been taught to believe. It's all about flipping the entire script on its head. And here it is. The secret is that action creates momentum, and it's the momentum that generates motivation. See, we have it completely backwards. It is not motivation leads to action, it's that action leads to motivation. The feeling doesn't come first. The feeling is the reward you get for starting. You just have to be willing to push that first domino.
So how do you actually put this into practice? Let me introduce you to your new secret weapon, the 2-minute rule. It's so simple. Just pick any task you're putting off and commit to doing it for just 2 minutes. That's it. See, the hardest part of anything is just getting started. Once you're over that little hump, staying in motion becomes so much easier.
The key here is to make starting so ridiculously easy that you can't say no. You have to lower the bar. Your goal isn't to run a marathon on day one. No way. Your goal is to become the type of person who just puts on the running shoes and gets out the door. That identity, it comes from the action itself, no matter how small it is. So just focus on showing up.
Okay, so we flipped the script on action. Awesome. Now, let's talk about the space around you. Because your environment, it's quietly shaping your behavior every single day, for better or for worse. You know, we so often think that a failure of motivation is a personal failure, that we just lack willpower. But willpower, it's like a phone battery. It gets tired, it runs out. So instead of trying to just power your way through the day, reframe the whole thing. It's not a willpower problem, it's a design problem. A truly motivated person doesn't necessarily have more willpower, they've just designed an environment where they don't need as much.
You can literally engineer your own motivation. The goal is to reduce friction for good habits. Make them easy, make them obvious. Want to work out in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes. One less thing to do. At the same time, you want to add friction for your bad habits. Can't stop scrolling on your phone? Put it in another room. Use visual cues to remind yourself, like putting a book you want to read right on your pillow. And try habit stacking. It's a game changer. Just attach a new habit to one you already do, like writing down one priority for the day while your coffee brews. It's all about making good choices the easiest choices. So just think about it for a second. What is one tiny little change you can make right now that would make a good habit just a little bit easier to start?
Now, all these tactics are amazing for getting started, but for long-term consistency, when things get tough, you need something deeper. You need fuel for that campfire. And that fuel is your why, the real reason you're doing any of this in the first place.
Look, surface-level goals are not going to survive when life gets hard. You've got to connect to your core drivers. Here are 3 really powerful ways to do that. First, identity shifting. Instead of saying, I'm trying to quit smoking, you say, I'm not a smoker. Focus on who you're becoming. Second, the 5 whys. Ask yourself why 5 times to drill past the surface and get to the real emotional heart of your goal. And finally, negative visualization. Take a moment and really imagine the cost of not taking action. That fear of staying stuck, that can be the most powerful push of all.
All right, this next point, it might feel a little counterintuitive, especially if you're a high achiever.
But I promise you, it is absolutely critical for staying in the game for the long haul.
Think about it. When you miss a workout or you eat that cookie you said you wouldn't, what's your first instinct? For so many of us, it's to just beat ourselves up. But that shame spiral is a motivation killer. It makes you want to give up completely. The truly resilient approach is to treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a friend, learn from the setback, and just get right back on track.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important reframe of all. It's about moving beyond the idea of motivation altogether and embracing a concept that is so much more powerful.
This slide says everything. Motivation is a roller coaster. It's a fleeting, unreliable feeling. It's awesome when it's there, but you cannot build a life on it. Discipline, on the other hand, that's like building a brick wall. It's a conscious decision. It is an active skill that you build brick by brick, day by day. And it shows up whether you feel like it or not.
This is the key. If you only remember one single thing from our time together, let it be this. When you stop chasing the feeling of motivation and you start practicing the skill of discipline, you take back control. You are no longer a victim of your own moods.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's about honoring the promises you make to yourself. It's self-respect in action. So what is one simple, non-negotiable rule that you will set for yourself, starting today, to honor the person you want to become?